Hi, I'm going to do another evening stroll this evening. It's not quite as sunshiny as it has been, but the sky is reasonably bright. It's about 7:25 on Friday night, and I'm going to do a Broad Street stroll, or a Broad Street market stroll, because a market has opened up in Broad Street, run by LSD, the same people who organise one in Gloucester Green. And I'll have a quick look round it and then put up the video as quickly as I can, so that I can advertise it to other people who might want to come. And remember that amongst its other attractions are pubs. The White Horse. Now, having said that, it looks as though some of the stalls, in fact quite a few of the stalls, are packing up, which is a shame, but at least it will show you some of what there is. Jewellery. I'm surprised that they would pack up so early on Friday night. And even the bar has closed.
But like, they didn't talk to Tokyo.
That's a Dutch cheese stall. So I've just asked, they only stay open till 7, which seems a very disappointing waste of a Friday or Saturday. And the Christmas market did it much better, I seem to remember. They stayed open till quite late. So you get to see a few shots of a market closing up. And not what I had hoped to show you, which was a market full of bustle and activity, with people enjoying themselves with beer, wine and pims after a hard day's work on Friday. And you won't get that on Saturday either, because again the market is closing at 7. Thank you, LSD. LSD being the organisers. Let's enjoy the look of Broad Street in the evening sun anyway. It's August the 15th, and I always think that this marks the start of autumn here. With an averagely clear sky on the 15th. You'll notice dusk dropping at about 8:15. It's been sunnier over the past few days, so it's got dark later than that, but I think tonight, being cloudier, it will be reasonably early, so possibly will get dark around about 8:15.
Hello, you ready to order? It's already full.
Blackwell's, Oxford's oldest and, well, actually I don't know whether it's the oldest, but it's the biggest and the most famous bookshop. And it occurs to me that if the market won't oblige with beer, I may as well show you the White Horse. So let me go inside and get something from there. And those are White Horse tables, not market tables. And I have to watch the steps coming down here. Right, well, I've stepped back. I'm outside the pub again. I've got a pint of beer and the bar staff are happy with me videoing the pub, so I'm going to come in and do that. And this, as I say, is the White Horse at the Blackwell's end of Broad Street. In fact, it's sort of intertwined with Blackwell's. And this is what's currently on the pumps. I take it Hoppy Monday, Hoppy birthday is quite hoppy.
Yeah, it is a session bitter.
Right.
So it's not as punchy as one would think. It's not as hoppy.
Right. I just suddenly realised that I'd been reading it as Happy Birthday, and of course it isn't.
Yeah. Well, Loose Cannon this year, they're doing a play on words for music. So every month they have a specialty, whether it's an IPA or a lager,
Right.
bitter,
Yes.
pale,
With some famous piece of
with a play on words. So last month it was Born in the IPA.
Born in the IPA, Born in the USA. Right. Thanks very much. Okay, so what's the brewery name again?
This is Loose Cannon.
Loose Cannon Brewery.
Yeah,
Right, thanks. Right. Okay, so he was just saying that this is a Abingdon brewery, Loose Cannon, and every month they're doing a different beer whose name contains a famous song or other piece of music in some way. So that's Hoppy Birthday. Hoppy from the stuff you flavour beer with, for people who don't know British beer. Hoppy for hops. And the last one was Born in the IPA. IPA is short for India Pale Ale. And of course that's a play on words, Born in the USA. So it's nice to meet a brewery who has a bit of fun with its names. That's a pint of Bass, which I haven't seen for ages, and apparently it's now brewed by Course. I think that's CORS in the USA. Very low ceiling. And the back part of the pub, and a picture of this is a dray, a horse-drawn vehicle used for transporting beer, and Eindhoven goes back a long way. I think it was once independent and then it became part of Allied, which was a big brewery chain and not particularly well regarded because it tended to trample little breweries and not taste very nice. And this is a nice place to sit. Look at that. You can imagine C.S. Lewis and Tolkien sitting here, except I don't know, but they were probably in the Eagle and Child most of the time. Oh, that's barred now. And so is that. I think it used to be possible to go right the way round and back out onto Broad Street there. So it's a lovely atmospheric pub, and the best time to come is now while the students are not filling it up. Sorry.
Trying to make it as fair as possible and it's quiet. It's not chance income. Then it's like really quiet on your
I think they used to have more cartoons and caricatures. I seem to remember several of Oxford College porters, but maybe they've been taken back by the people who originally drew them. Anyway, I'm going to go outside and have my Bess.
So young.
And also the book when you back your roof wasn't
So
it?
young.
Yeah.
Like you're going to meet a girl. Everything's sunshine, really.
That's the point.
So let's face it, you can't get a much better place to drink than this, can you? With the Sheldonian facing you and the emperor's heads, except that they're probably not emperors as far as anyone knows. Museum of the History of Science. 100 years ago, Tolkien. I did a video about Tolkien's houses a few weeks ago, where I walked around all the places he'd resided while in Oxford, from Exeter College as an undergraduate to Merton College in his final years. And one of the buildings I mentioned was what is now the Museum of the History of Science over there. In Tolkien's day, it was used by the Oxford English Dictionaries, one of the most authoritative English dictionaries in Britain and indeed in the world. thanks. And he came back from the war in 1918, having recovered from trench fever and gone back to fight, and then come back sometime around Armistice, I suppose, sometime around when the war ended. And he got a job with the Oxford English dictionaries, defining, looking at the history of, looking at the uses, current and old, of the words from, I can't remember exactly what they were, but they began with W, and there was something like waggle to walrus. And he spent 2 years on that, which I think greatly increased his knowledge of etymology, the origin of words, and his interest in it, and deepened his use of these topics in his writing. And he was working there because, as I say, that in those days was where the Oxford English dictionaries were. And part of the time he was living at 50 St John's Street, or what was then called 50 St John's Street, which may not be exactly the same number. And then he moved round the corner to Alfred Street, which in those days was called Pusey Street. To Alfred Street, which in those days was called Alfred Street, and in our day is called Pusey Street. He lived in a flat where Regent's Park College is now. And then he went to Leeds, and then he came back to Oxford in 1926, and then he was around here most of the time until he passed away. And as we all know, he did an awful lot. Very clever man. So let's appreciate Tolkien. And if I knew any Elvish, I would recite it now.
They do. And they say, oh, no, sir, it's something like this. I'm on my way back and eat something.
And let's appreciate the emperors too. They're almost certainly not Roman emperors, but whoever they were meant to be, if they were meant to be anybody in particular, let's just have a brief look at them. And appreciate the architects who built these places, or who designed these places, and the stonemasons and others who built them. Okay, well that is Broad Street evening stroll with a sadly not very open market. But the market will be open until 7 tomorrow, Saturday, and it will be open on Sunday, probably until 5. So if you want to see it, come along then. See you next time.
Không,